Got at her bachelorette party, so I vanished quietly before the wedding and what? Hello everyone. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now let's begin the video. Using a throwaway for obvious reasons with certain specifics modified to preserve anonymity. My got betrayed at her bachelor party, so I stepped away quietly before the wedding, and what happened afterward shocked everyone. I'm a 32-year-old guy and I was supposed to marry Mai, who's 29 next weekend. We've been together for 3 years, mostly living under the same roof, and I thought she was the one. We were solid, or so I believed. Went on a bachelor trip to Miami with 7 friends 2 weeks before our wedding. I didn't worry much. I trusted her completely. I figured they'd have drinks, hit some clubs, maybe see a stripper or two, just typical bachelor party stuff. I even dropped her off at the airport, kissed her goodbye, and told her to have an amazing time. While she was away, I hung out with my friends, finished wedding plans, and picked up my tux. Everything seemed normal. She texted me during the trip saying how much fun they were having, how she missed me, the usual stuff. She returned Sunday night, exhausted but happy, saying they had a blast and she was glad to be home. Then Wednesday night, 3 days before the wedding, I received a message from an unknown number. You should see what you did at her bachelor party. She's not who you think she is. Attached was a video. At first, I almost deleted it, thinking it was spam or a scam, but something urged me to open it. What I saw shattered me completely. It was with 2 men in what looked like a hotel room. They were both doing things to her. She wasn't drunk or out of it. She was actively participating and encouraging them. At one point, she looked directly into the camera, smiled, and said, "What happens in Miami stays in Miami, right?" Then she chuckled. I sat there watching the entire video, 3 minutes and 42 seconds, and it ended my relationship and all the dreams I had for our future. I felt physically sick. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed time to think. I spent the night in the guest room, claiming I wasn't feeling well. The next morning, while she was at her final dress fitting, I called my best man, Jason, and showed him the video. He was just as shocked as I was and confirmed what I stared at, that this was real. "What are you going to do?" he asked. "I'm not getting married," I replied. I spent Thursday packing what I needed while she was with her mom. I left her a note that said, "I know what happened in Miami. The wedding is canceled," and I put her engagement ring and my key on top of it. Then I moved into Jason's place temporarily and turned off my phone. I couldn't handle the storm that was about to come. When I turned it back on Saturday morning, our wedding day, I had 47 missed calls and over 60 messages from her family and some friends. Her texts ranged from confused, "Where are you?" to panicked, "Please call me," to desperate, "I made a terrible mistake. Let me explain," to furious, "You couldn't even face me." Her parents also called, initially angry that I abandoned their daughter, then confused when they learned why. It turned out finally told them everything after they couldn't reach me. I sent out a group message to all our wedding guests explaining there were unforeseen circumstances and the wedding was canceled. I apologized for any inconvenience. Then I texted directly, "There's nothing left to say. It's over. It's been a week now. I've gotten an apartment and started the process of separating my life from hers. I blocked on everything, but she keeps finding ways to contact me. She claims it was a stupid drunk mistake and it meant nothing, that she got swept up in the moment and peer pressure from her friends. But I saw the video. She wasn't that drunk and she knew exactly what she was doing." Her cousin, who wasn't at the bachelor party, reached out to me yesterday. She said was a wreck, barely eating, crying all the time, and begged me to talk to her. I told her no. Maybe I should have confronted face to face instead of leaving, but I just couldn't bear to look at her knowing what she'd done. The thought of standing at the altar saying vows about trust and fidelity when she'd already broken those vows was too much. I know some say I was too harsh, just leaving like that, but how can I ever trust her again? The woman I loved betrayed me in the worst way possible right before our wedding. The pain and shame are overwhelming. I don't know what happens next. I'm just taking it day by day. There's no going back. 2 weeks later, I want to thank everyone for the support and advice. It's meant a lot. A lot has happened since then. First, I tracked down who sent me that video. It was the girlfriend of one of the guys slept with. Apparently, he'd been bragging about it, and she found the video on his phone. She was hurt and angry. I also found social media through some detective work and learned what really happened. That anonymous friend who sent me the video was cousin. She told me was a mess, hardly eating, crying all the time and pleaded for me to talk to her. But I couldn't. I let her go because I was tired of her causing scenes in the hallway. Explanation: she was drunk. It was just physical. It didn't mean anything. She loved me. It was a mistake. Sounded exactly like the typical excuses cheaters use. But then she admitted the truth. They'd all gone out to a club and her friends had encouraged her to have one last fling. She said the guys weren't strangers. They'd met the night before and hung out all weekend. She swore it was just once, but then she broke down and said she made out with one of them the night before she left. The more she talked, the clearer it became this wasn't just a drunken slip. There was flirting, planning, and choosing to do this repeatedly over several days. The worst: some of her bridesmaids not only encouraged it but even filmed it. Women I'd considered friends. When I pointed this out, she protested that it's normal to have a final fling before marriage, and said that what happens at a bachelor party stays there. That's when I finally lost it. Normal? You think betrayal is normal? Participating in a threesome a week before our wedding on camera, that's normal to you? She broke down, crying harder, saying I was being cruel and unforgiving, that if I really loved her, I'd understand it was just a mistake and we could work through it. I smirked and said, if you really loved me, you wouldn't have fed two guys at your bachelor party. She left immediately afterward, but not before dropping something that chilled me. She said, you'll regret throwing away everything we built over one mistake. It didn't sound remorseful. It sounded like a threat. Now she's telling friends I was controlling and emotionally abusive, which is totally false. She's playing the victim, claiming I abandoned her without giving her a chance to explain, and now I'm punishing her for a mistake. Some friends even take her side. The financial mess continues. We're fighting over who's responsible for wedding expenses. Her parents paid most deposits, but many vendors' final bills were due the week before from our joint account. She demands I pay her back my share. I refused. I'm not about to cover a wedding that never happened because she cheated. I talked to a lawyer about the house we were supposed to buy. Luckily, since we weren't married yet, I'm probably in the clear. Still, it's a headache. On social media, her bridesmaids are spreading false stories about me, painting me as some kind of monster who ditched his over a drunken kiss. They omit the part about the threesome. When I confronted them, they accused me of shamming and claimed what happens at a bachelor's party stays there. Some people buy into it. I've even lost friends who believe her or tell me I should just forgive her. One of her bridesmaids called to apologize and admitted she filmed the video. She says she regrets encouraging. She revealed a lot. Apparently, there was cocaine involved that weekend, which never mentioned. And more damaging, confirmed this was first infidelity. 2 years ago, she cheated on me with and her friends covered it up. That was a huge blow. It made me question whether I overreacted. But knowing it's a pattern reaffirmed, I made the right call ending things. I'm doing better now. Therapy's helping. I took a solo trip to Colorado away from all the chaos, and it really helped me reconnect with myself. I've dived into work and hobbies, even started dating casually, nothing serious of course, but it's nice to start moving on. The hardest part now, the pregnancy. If the baby's mine, my life about to change dramatically. If it's not, I'll breathe a sigh of relief but still feel terrible for the child who's caught in this mess. I'm preparing for a paternity test and focusing on healing. 4 to 6 months later, the results are in. The baby isn't mine. Honestly, I wasn't surprised, but it still hit hard. Relief mostly, but also a strange sense of loss for a future I'd started mentally building. For a moment, I even hoped maybe I could be a dad, but that's not happening. Reaction was intense. She broke down crying when she heard. She confessed she'd hoped the baby was mine, thinking it might bring us back together. She also admitted she suspected it was one of the Miami guys, but convinced herself it was mine because the timing fit. She said she didn't remember if we'd had sex that week. Everything was a blur with wedding prep. I told her I wanted a paternity test. She got angry, claiming I was adding insult to injury. I stood firm. No responsibility without proof, especially given her dishonesty. This revelation plunged me back into that emotional darkness I'd been trying to leave behind. The fact that I could be connected to her through a child, or not, felt overwhelming. I care about her. I don't want the kid to grow up thinking I abandoned him, but I also don't think I can co-parent with someone who betrayed me so profoundly. However, believes the pregnancy changes everything and she expects I'll take her back now just because she's carrying my child. She even suggested we try again for the child's sake. I told her that's never happening. The relationship's absolutely over, no matter what the DNA test says. Her family has been relentless. They call me a deadbeat even before the baby's born, ignoring my willingness to be responsible if the kid's mine. I just want to be sure first. The financial fallout, we finally settled, though. Neither of us got exactly what we wanted. It's over. I paid more than I'd hoped for some wedding costs, but less than she demanded. The house deal fell through, which I think was for the best. I found a new apartment I actually like better than the one we'd planned to buy. The social side. Her bridesmaids spread rumors that portray me as a villain who abandoned his over one drunken kiss, conveniently leaving out the threesome. Some friends still believe her, though more are finally seeing the truth. Several who initially backed her have apologized after hearing more, especially after admitted she filmed the video and contained her own regrets. Turns out, there was cocaine involved that weekend which had never mentioned, adding another layer of understanding. And that pattern of cheating. Turns out it's not just a one-off. 2 years ago she cheated on me again with another and her friends helped hide it. That was a brutal truth. It makes sense now why I felt that little voice warning me something was off all along. I've been focusing on healing. Therapy is still invaluable. My Colorado trip was exactly what I needed to step back from everything. I've been reconnecting with old friends and making some new ones. I even started dating, taking things slow. But honestly, the biggest concern, the pregnancy. If the test confirms I'm not the father, it's a relief. If I am, my life is about to change forever. I'm preparing myself for whatever comes next. I'll wait for the paternity test and stay focused on myself. Finally, about 4 to 6 months later, the test results are in. The baby isn't mine. I felt relief mostly, but also a weird sadness at what this could been. Was devastated. She broke down and told me she'd hoped the kid would be mine, thinking that would fix everything. She had suspected it might be one of the Miami guys, but convinced herself it was me because of her timing. She admitted she wasn't sure if we'd had sex that week. Everything's a blur with wedding chaos. I told her I needed a DNA test. She got angry, claiming I was adding insult to injury. I refused to accept responsibility without proof. That revelation hit hard. I saw her breaking down, crying about her misery. And for a moment I almost felt sorry for her. But then I remembered the lies, manipulation, and how she and her family had relentlessly guilted me. They called me a coward, a deadbeat, all while hiding that she cheated on me multiple times. Turns out, she cheated at least 3 times I knew about, and who knows what I didn't. If she'd just been honest earlier, maybe we could work things out, but her pattern of deception ended everything. There's no trust left. She reached out to both Miami guys. One blocked her immediately, and the other, who's getting divorced now, wants nothing to do with her or the baby. Her family, so quick to criticize me, is now doing damage control. Her father showed up at my office demanding I pay the wedding costs, which security had to escort him away from. It was humiliating. I hired a lawyer to settle things legally. We had about $31, $0 in a joint account, mostly for the wedding, honeymoon, and house. When I left, I took only half. I contributed more, but I didn't feel right about it. Julia claims I stole from her, that I took her money without asking. The lawyer says I'm in the right, but it's a hassle. Meanwhile, her bridesmaids have been running with twisted stories, painting me as a control freak who violated over a drunken kiss. They conveniently ignore the threesome part. When I confronted them, they accused me of shamming and said what happens at bachelor parties stays there. Some folks believe her. I've lost friends over this, especially those who think I should forgive and forget. Her cousin, who initially reached out, even posted about how devastated Julia is, claiming I threw away a beautiful relationship over one mistake. That mistake? Two guys on camera a week before our wedding. Not exactly small. I've been focusing on healing, therapy's helping. I've started to rebuild my life, work, old friends, new ones. I even booked a solo trip to Colorado, hiking and disconnecting from it all. I needed that time. As I go through what's left of our apartment, packing up Julia's things, every item feels like a small stab: a sweater, a book, her favorite coffee mug. We shared 5 years. Not everything was bad, and that's what makes it so painful, trusting someone I love turned out to be a complete illusion. A friend suggested I might dodged a bullet. If she'd done this before we married, she probably would cheated during our marriage too. Maybe. But it doesn't make it hurt any less. I keep replaying every missed red flag, every clue I ignored. I can't find any clear signs she'd do something like this. She seemed as invested in our future as I was. When asked if I regret not confronting her directly, I don't. I was in shock after that video. I needed space to process. Leaving was the only way I could think clearly. For now, I take each day as it comes. Some days are better than others. Sometimes I wake up and forget what happened, only for reality to hit me again and the pain to come rushing back. But it's getting easier, slowly but surely. If anything new pops up, I'll share it. But I hope this chapter is finally closed. 3 months later, I wasn't planning to give an update, but some things happened that I feel need to be shared. Closure, you know. Life, been good. Actually, really good. The promotion I mentioned before came with a big raise. I used some extra cash to travel, something I kept putting off. Japan, Portugal, and even a month working remotely from Argentina, the experiences were incredible and unexpectedly healing. The woman I've been dating is everything wasn't. Honest, straightforward, supportive without enabling. We've been dating for 8 months now. I've never felt more secure. She knows my story and is patient with my trust issues. On the financial side, the legal mess with Julia is finally over. The bills weren't cheap, but peace of mind was worth it. Julia last week finally picked up her remaining stuff, so that's one less tie connecting us. A girl I now call a good friend, and I still meet occasionally. We've built a genuine friendship from all this chaos. She's dating someone new, and we joke about how our terrible ended up bringing us together. I think this will be my last update. Julia made her choices, now she's living with the consequences. I've made peace with what happened and am focused on building a new life. Honestly, I'm grateful for that anonymous message with the video. Without it, I might married her unaware of her true self, maybe ending up raising a kid with someone I couldn't trust. Instead, I'm free to find real happiness with someone who deserves my trust. If you're going through something similar, hang in there. The pain lessens, and sometimes what's on the other side is even better than what you lost. Life moves forward, and very often, it gets better in ways you never saw coming. Finally, a year later, I wasn't planning to post again, but something came up that I think offers real closure. So here it is. Life, been surprisingly good. I got a nice promotion that came with a significant salary bump. I used some of the money to travel. My dream was always to see the world, and I finally made it happen. Visiting Japan, Portugal, and spending a month working from Argentina opened my eyes and healed some wounds I didn't realize I still carried. The woman I'm seeing now, her name is Lisa. Things moved fast, but I wasn't trying to rush anything. Life doesn't follow a script, and I've learned that pretty well. She's honest, kind, and supportive, everything. Never was. We've been together for 8 months, and I feel secure for the first time in a long while. She knows everything about my past, and she's patient as I work through trust issues. As for Julia, I've managed to stay away from her. I hear bits from mutual friends now and then, but nothing direct. She has a baby boy, and I know one of the Miami guys finally agreed to a paternity test. He's the dad, but he wants nothing beyond minimum child support. I thought I'd never see her again, but I ran into her last week at a coffee shop downtown. She looked different, thinner, tired, her hair cut short. The confident woman I once loved has been replaced by someone worn down by life. She saw me just as I was about to leave, and we stared at each other for a moment. Then she asked if we could talk. Against my better judgment, I nodded. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I'm sorry. Not just for what I did, but for how I handled everything after. You deserve better. I was selfish, stupid, and I destroyed the best thing I ever had." That apology caught me off guard. She didn't try to justify herself or blame alcohol or friends. She admitted she was responsible. She told me about her current struggles, single motherhood, judgment from others, her career barely hanging on, and her parents planning to sell their house and move closer to help. She said she still faces judgment and loss of friends, but she's trying to get better. Then she said she regrets hurting someone who once truly loved her. She didn't ask for forgiveness, but she wanted me to know how remorseful she was. As I turned to leave, she asked, "Are you happy?" The question caught me off guard. I thought about Melissa, my job, my travels, my new friends, and the life I'd built amid all this chaos. I answered honestly, "Yes, I am." She nodded and gave me a sad smile. "Good, you deserve that." That 5-minute chat gave me more closure than any therapy session ever could. I walked away, feeling the last of that heavy weight lifting. No anger, no resentment, just a deep sense of acceptance that people sometimes make choices that forever change their lives. All we can do is adapt and keep moving forward. A couple of nights ago, I was sitting on my balcony watching the sunset with Lisa, and it hit me. I'm grateful for everything that happened. Not because Julia deserved the fallout or because I take pleasure in her struggles, but because that painful chapter set me free. In her attempt to ruin me, she actually helped me find my real happiness. So that's the story. The last chapter I never expected to write. Thanks to everyone who followed along and showed support. And to those going through their own struggles, hang in there. The pain eventually fades, and sometimes what's waiting at the end is far better than what you lost. Life keeps moving, and sometimes it gets better than you ever imagined. Thanks for listening.